I have your company here at Sydney's Oran Park Raceway. This is the Trans-Tasman Super Truck Challenge, and one of the fabulous support categories here this weekend, of course, is the O'Brien Aluminium Sports Sedan Series. Another round for them this weekend. Ian Luff, this is a reverse grid, should be exciting.
Well, they call this the Butchers, picnic cars off the rear of the grid. Have a look at that. Kraus actually jumped the start by the look of it. But when you look at the big banger cars coming through, like the Des Walls, etc., this could be anyone's race, and it'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
I think we've had someone stop on the front row. That was Lyndon Reithmuller, so he'll probably take no further part in it unless he can get the thing restarted. Some of the big guys already starting to fight their way through the pack. There you can see Des Wall. Des Wall, of course, in the Toyota Supra. He's one of the consummate professionals in these ranks. He's, of course, last year's champion, and he's doing so well in this year's point score, it's not even funny. But the thing with Des is when he comes to these reverse grid races, he likes to slowly but surely pick his way through the pack.
Well, he's got the horsepower, which is a big advantage, and he can get on the straights and open up that big Chevy-powered Supra. And I tell you what, the car's awesome. He's got the current lap record around here, and he uses the car to very good effect.
Doesn't he what? And he certainly does know Oran Park like the back of his hand. Oran Park, of course, for those of you uninitiated, really is the home of sports sedan racing right here in Australia. And these guys, a bumper entry this weekend. Peter O'Brien here in the O'Brien Aluminium Sports Sedan, doing a great job. The Commodore, I tell you what, there's a huge field of them. Here's Briffa.
Yeah, well, Steve Briffa, panel beater from Moorebank. Look, that car is beautifully presented there. However, that little bit of smoke coming out the back could be a worry. And if you end up with an oil leak in these cars and it gets on the back tyres, it could be absolutely disastrous. Slick tyres and oil, not a good combination.
Not at all. Indeed, some of you might remember our current leader. This is Peter O'Brien. He has been driving throughout the course of this year and last year in the Ford Sierra. His dad electing to run that car here this weekend, but unfortunately it has succumbed to some sort of terminal engine woe. But he's back out in the trustworthy old RX-3 and having a great time at the moment. Let's recap them for you. Peter O'Brien is leading it at this point in time in the Commodore. Right in behind, we've got this tremendous dice between Lichtenberger and, of course, between Ivan Mikak. Mikak now takes second place in this beautiful RX-7. This is a kit car, Ian, from Western Australia, and gee, it's well prepared.
Very effective car, incredibly light, weighing somewhere around about the 750 kilograms in that region, and that gives an excellent power to weight ratio and good performance.
Riffer, of course, driving an ex-Group A racing Commodore, the kind that are, of course, not allowed to compete these days, the VL-shaped series car. There's Greg McShane in the older Falcon. Had a good weekend for himself, though, this weekend.
Well, Greg loves his Ford. I'll tell you what, the development work they've done, he's done his best ever times here at Oran Park, and the team were ecstatic. I was talking to them before, and they said, I'll tell you what, this car could break into the 45-second bracket, maybe even the 44s, but I suppose time will tell. But look at the man on the move. There's Desi Wall using that Chev-powered Supra to good effect, as we said, down the straight and just hosed off Steve Briffa so easily.
This is what we were talking about before. He likes to just slowly but surely pick his way through the pack when you come to these reverse grid races. Down through the Foster's dogleg. Now there's Lichtenberger. A little bit difficult at this time of the afternoon. You can see the sunlight in their eyes. You can see O'Brien, they're just dipping just to make sure that he keeps the sunlight out of his eyes. And Mikak, all the while, is slowly but surely closing. So too is Des Wall.
Well, Ivan Mikak's a very hard charger. He really pushes the Mazda very, very hard, and like everything else, uses the whole width of the track there. You can see the car sliding out towards the outside. What tends to happen in the afternoon here is the temperature drops off, and naturally it makes the tyres a little bit cooler and can make these sports sedans very spectacular when they're trying to put all that power to the ground.
Peter O'Brien, your leader at this point in time in the VL Commodore, the car formerly built by Bob Tyndall and raced by last year's Group A Privateers winner, of course, speaking of David Attard. So down the front straight come the entire field of sports sedans. Here is your leader O'Brien doing a great job using all of the road. Has only had a handful of outings in this car, but gee, settled into it very quickly.
That's right, this car works very well. It's got, speaking of working well, have a look at this. Another O'Brien car being punted out the way. Lyndon Reithmuller off the back of the grid. I think maybe a little bit exuberant in that particular move, but look at Des. Des is a very safe move. He could have gone on with that, but that would have been fairly disastrous for both of himself and Ivan Mikak.
So he elected just to settle back in. He'll have a run at him, I think, this time around as they come down the front straight. So it's O'Brien from Mikak. Then it's Des Wall. Wall, of course, the current points leader in the O'Brien Aluminium Sports Sedan Series for season 96. And keen to put even more of them on the board. Down the inside of Mikak he comes. He'll be late under brakes. O'Brien shuts the door there. So it's O'Brien from Des Wall. Then it's Mikak 1, 2 and 3. That's how they look on the circuit. And O'Brien, I tell you what, if he's not careful, he's going to have the hard taskmaster pushing him very hard in a moment.
Well, that's right. This Chev Supra, you can see how balanced the car is. They've got the fantastic aero package. That rear wing really helps Des use all the power coming out of the corners. Without the wing, the car would be diabolical and very hard to drive. So they actually tune the rear wing, get the angles correct to set the car up to work for the circuit. And when the car's set up working well, it's a pleasure to drive. If they're not working well, it becomes an absolute nightmare for the driver.
The thing that impresses me about Wall is that he simply doesn't rest on his laurels. He's always keen to try and find some little bit of extra improvement out of the car. And I tell you what, straight up into the lead. He's now leading this reverse grid feature. And sitting back in behind him, we've got O'Brien and, of course, Mikak. Mick-Ack. This weekend, Wall has elected to go to a computerised fuel injection system. He's got Motec on board now, and I tell you what, he's got it really well sorted out.
Well, speaking of Motec on board, I don't know what Greg McShane's got in the Ford, but I tell you what, he's got the race face on. Have a look at this sort of incredible passing move in that bottom part of the track.
As we turn our attention back towards the pointy end of the proceedings, not too much happening there. Your leader at the moment, of course, is Des Wall. There's not a great deal in it. He's got a little bit of a lead that he's managed to get for himself, but O'Brien is the man really starting to feel the pressure. Ivan Mick-Ack is the one who is applying it up and onto the front straight. O'Brien using all of the road. This is where I think the RX-7 loses out in the horsepower stakes, but gee, it's good around the back part of the circuit. It just seems to handle that a little bit better. It's a little bit more nimble, you might say.
Well, Ivan spent a lot of time in the car, and it's an excellent package. Speaking of an excellent package, this guy from Queensland, Danny Osborne, in the RX-7, that's a great motor car.
Danny's colour scan car is a beautifully prepared and presented machine. It's another one of the Series 4 shaped cars, but unlike this car of Ivan Mick-Ack's here, it doesn't run a rotary in it. It has in fact got a Dick Johnson X-Ford Sierra engine in it, pulling out around about 600 horsepower, so bucket loads of horsepower there. And this is your leader, Des Wall, at this point in time, talking about bucket loads of horsepower. Hasn't this Chevy-powered Toyota Supra really got what it takes, Ian?
Well, when you look at it, Des during the week, he runs an excavation business, so probably the most exciting thing that Des does is drives a bulldozer. So jumping in his Chev Supra, he has an absolute ball and really enjoys his racing.
Yeah, doesn't he what? This is Brian Callahan Jr. debuting this weekend in a brand new VP Commodore. I tell you what, he likes to race just like his father does. Currently sitting in second place, Peter O'Brien in the O'Brien Aluminium VL machine, doing a good job. This is the dice we were talking about a moment ago. Briffa being forced wide, and Danny Osborne, I'm not sure if there's a problem with that particular car there.
Well, it's a pretty sensitive motor car. They have a lot of trouble with the turbo system in that car, and getting it to be reliable is probably the biggest factor. You've got to have reliable equipment, but the car handles well, he drives it exceptionally well, and I tell you what, it looks sensational on the track.
Certainly does. One of the guys who's probably a little bit further back in the pack this weekend than he would certainly like is Graham Smith, currently running around about in 5th place. Last lap board now on display for this man, Des Wall, as he makes his way down the front straight. A good idea of the gap that he's got there to Peter O'Brien sitting in second place, and this man, Ivan Mick-Ack, sitting back in third. But as I was mentioning, Smithy has had a really good consistent run in the 131 this year, but when the big boys come out here this weekend, I think he's really felt it in the horsepower stakes.
Well, that's right. Graham likes to turn the boost up on his Fiat, but it's like everything else. If you turn the boost up too high, it can make the car fairly fragile, and the important thing is reliability. But Graham's right up there in the points, as is Ivan Mick-Ack, and like everything else, this O'Brien Sports Sedan Series is going to go right to the wire.
Certainly is. Full credit to Ronnie O'Brien. Another fabulous weekend from the Sports Sedans here. A great turnout of entries, and this man has done it from virtually start to finish for all the races. Des Wall comes down the front straight. He'll take the checkered flag. Another great run from him and the team. Kerry O'Brien, his team engineer, would no doubt be ecstatic with that victory. And coming in for second place, Peter O'Brien, and third place, Ivan Mick-Ack. What a great run from the O'Brien Aluminium Sports Sedans here at Oran Park.